For Buckeyes Now on Sports Illustrated, I'm Brendan Gulick. This is the Buckeye Report on Tuesday, November 9th. Not only is it the season opener for the basketball team, but it is Tuesday of Purdue week for the football team for Ohio State. Buckeyes are getting ready for their third to last regular season game. As we kind of knew going into the season, the schedule looked like it would be harder at the second half of the year, and it's very much turned out to be that way. Obviously, a couple of tight wins over Penn State and Nebraska the last couple weeks. Now you've got a Purdue team coming to Columbus. Obviously, everybody remembers what happens the last time these two teams played each other a few years ago in West Lafayette. Not to mention, Purdue has already beaten Iowa at Iowa when they were ranked number 2, and they just beat Michigan State when they were ranked number 3 last week when the Spartans came to Purdue. So this is a Purdue team that the Buckeyes are taking very seriously. They know, in particular, the front seven defensively for the Boilermakers is pretty darn good, and they've got a heck of a wide receiver in David Bell with a quarterback in Aiden O'Connell who's playing quite well. The Buckeyes have their hands full this week before Michigan State and Michigan close out the regular season. A couple of notes for you as the Buckeyes get ready for this week's competition. Let's start with Quinn Ewers. Quinn is apparently becoming more involved in practice and has been picking up the offense a little bit better. Ryan Day kind of said basically dating back to the bye week, he has seen some nice progression from Quinn Ewers. Quinn obviously made the trip because, another update, Jack Miller's suspension because of the OVI that he got last week on Friday, that's still in play, and the Buckeyes don't have anything more to say about that right now until they learn some more information about how everything unfolds with Jack and his legal proceedings. So Quinn Ewers right now looks like he's the number 3 quarterback behind, obviously, C.J. Stroud and Kyle McCord, and it sounds like Quinn is progressing nicely. So that's good news on the Quinn Ewers front for those who've been wondering about his work. Other news, Garrett Wilson last week obviously missed the game. That was certainly disappointing. I personally thought the Buckeyes really missed him last week, but I thought they did a pretty good job, obviously, with what Jackson Smith and Jigba did, a pretty impressive performance. You could make the argument that a 400-yard passing day without one of your 2 best, and certainly one of the 2 best in the conference and in the country, Garrett Wilson's absence, I really felt like they missed him, and still the Buckeyes picked up right where they needed to, and CJ had a great game finding Jackson Smith and Jigba. There were some moments of frustration, obviously a couple of interceptions last week, and frankly, there were some bad throws that resulted in incompletions. Maybe reminding everybody that CJ's still a first-year starting quarterback. Obviously, he was in the program last year, but didn't play a whole lot, and this is his first season of going through this, and he's going to make some freshman mistakes. The good news is it did not cost the Buckeyes a win. It certainly did not cost them their season, and their goals and hopes of making the college football playoff are still very much alive. But Garrett Wilson is expected to be back this week and should be at practice today. Ryan Day told us a little bit earlier. We had a chance to talk to Noah Ruggles and to Marcus Williamson. The biggest takeaway from Noah Ruggles, who's just kind of this chill, cool dude. He likes to surf. It very much fits his vibe. The biggest thing I took away from Noah is that he's not kicking every day in practice and how much that's helped him. He said at North Carolina, he literally kicked every single day, and it felt like it just took a toll on his body. But that was the protocol down there, and he said it did not help him be at his best. He said he actually felt a lot of times like he was better in the spring when he was kicking 3 times a week. His accuracy, his distance were all better. Well, he's been able to kind of use that now, implementing that here at Ohio State, and knock on wood. I mean, he's 49 of 49 on extra points. He's 15 for 15 on field goals. He's been extremely reliable, and the Buckeyes have certainly needed him these last couple weeks when he's hit 8 field goals combined against Penn State and Nebraska. So interesting that less is more with Noah Ruggles getting ready for each week. If that's what works for him, then the Buckeyes are happy about that. Marcus Williamson just continues to be an impressive guy. He's soft-spoken. He's thoughtful in his answers. He talked about the challenge of playing against David Bell, who is an All-American candidate at Purdue. David Bell he's a dude. He's legit. And Marcus knows that their secondary's got a pretty tall task in front of them. He said there's just not many weaknesses in his game, and we can't lose him on the field. It's pretty obvious that guy's got home run capability. And Ohio State at times this year has been vulnerable to giving up big plays. Certainly saw that a couple times against Nebraska, and have seen it at other instances throughout the course of the year. So got to make sure that David Bell doesn't get loose in space, or the Buckeyes could be in trouble. So that was the biggest takeaway from Marcus. And other than that, as we talked with Ryan Day and offensive coordinator Kevin Wilson, there's been all this talk the last probably 2 weeks in particular about whether or not CJ Stroud is running enough. And I think it's probably been the hottest topic in the Ohio State offensive conversations among fans and media, but not necessarily in the building. And that's kind of the big takeaway I had from that. It's pretty clear that Ryan Day and Kevin Wilson are very happy with the way CJ is handling, his opportunities out on the field. He is running and throwing with, the rhythm and routine and expectations that they have. They're not telling him not to run or telling him to run. They're basically empowering him to make plays that he thinks are the right plays. CJ's been scrambling quite a bit and, keeping his eyes downfield. And sure, are there times where it looks like he could run the football instead of throw it? Absolutely. But he's chosen to throw it in some of those instances. And, that's what the Buckeyes are willing to live with. Ryan was asked about kind of comparing him to Dwayne Haskins in his first year or Justin Fields in his first year. And if they want CJ to fit, a certain sort of mold. And Ryan kind of negated that thought too, saying, he's kind of his own player. He's athletic. We trust him to make good decisions. And for the most part, he's done that. So I don't get the impression that from within the walls here of the Woody Hayes Athletic Center, that they're concerned similar to what we've certainly seen in fans talking or in the media about CJ Stroud and not running the football as much. CJ said I don't even remember, it was a week ago now at this point, I think, I'm not a running back. I'm a quarterback. I throw the ball. I think he used the words, I throw for a living. Not really, but you understand the point. He's still in college. Obviously, he doesn't want to be a run first guy. And frankly, he's had a heck of a lot of success so far this year. And even as the competition has ratcheted up a little bit these last couple weeks, he's been tested a bit more, but the Buckeyes are still winning games. And I guess I would wrap this Buckeye report by saying that, Ryan Day reiterated how important it is for them to not get focused on the outside noise. They are primarily and solely focused on just figuring out a way to beat Purdue. Ohio State knows that college football playoff rankings come out again tonight, right? It'll be the second straight week. Michigan State was number 3 last week. They lost. Should the Buckeyes jump into the top 4? Ryan Day acknowledged that those conversations are all really good for college football, but didn't necessarily feel like it was important for Ohio State to be thinking about where their positioning is. He doesn't really care. He said last week it didn't matter. Doesn't matter now. It doesn't matter this upcoming week. He said we need to figure out a way to beat Purdue, and then we'll focus on Michigan State, and then we'll focus on the team up north and try to win the Big Ten championship. He went back to the point that, hey, Purdue is in a 4-way tie for first place, and they are playing for a chance to go to Indy. So the Buckeyes absolutely can't look past this week's opponent. So I think Ohio State's, the players and the coaches, they know what's going on. They follow college football playoff rankings, but I don't think they're getting quite wrapped up in it the way that fans are. And frankly, that's what it needs to be, right? They got to use every waking minute that they can to come up with the right game plan to beat a very, very good Purdue football team. Saturday at 3:30 over at the Horseshoe. We'll kick things off and we'll see if Ohio State can maybe avenge that frustrating, awful loss they had a couple of years ago. Haven't played Purdue since then, and looking forward to the challenge of playing them here at home. Again, it's 3:30 on Saturday afternoon. The game's televised on ABC, or you can listen to it on the Ohio State IMG Learfield Sports Network with Paul Keels, Jim Lachey, and Matt Andrews. I'm Brendan Gulick. We'll see you again real soon. The Buckeyes getting ready for the Purdue Boilermakers. And if you get a chance, tune in tonight. Ohio State basketball opens the season on ESPN2. They're playing the Akron Zips this evening at 6 o'clock. See you again real soon from the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. The Buckeyes and Boilermakers not far away for getting this week started.